All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We are back with our lovely Beth Smith. And in case you didn't tune in yesterday, Beth has been and is doing the entire week, kicking off every morning with a lovely little mindful morning. And I love what she teaches and everything that she shares. So I'm just going to turn it over to you, Beth, and let you continue on this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Morgan. Good morning, everybody. So, yes, yesterday we kicked things off, and I wanted to just make a couple of housekeeping comments on the topic of mindfulness and this series. So, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about formal practice and informal practice from a mindfulness standpoint. So, certainly, formal practice is most well known as meditation practice, right? And there are many types of meditation. What we're working with here comes from Vipassana style meditation, and in particular, Insight Meditation Society is one of the places that I pull lots of information from and where I've been trained. So, formal meditation helps us to cultivate more of a reservoir of capability around mindful awareness practices. And then there's informal practices as well. And those are the ones that we talk about. And at the end of yesterday and today and each day, I'll encourage you to take something with you into your life today that you can practice right away. So those informal practices really help us anchor a lot of the small moments in our life that we can pay attention to and develop a greater sense of awareness. So then also, I'm teaching this is from Tara Brach's new book, Radical Compassion. And the book is quite rich with content around this acronym RAIN: recognize, allow, investigate or inquiry, and nourish. And if you're finding value in this, you can refer to Tara's book. She also has quite a lot online and teachings. What I've learned from my own experience using RAIN is that while the acronym, right, RAIN is in order for it to spell rain, you don't need to actually practice in that order so that you're very, methodical. Now I need to recognize, now I need to allow, now I need to do inquiry and nourish. I think each one of these stands really well on its own. So today will be the topic is recognize, and it can stand clearly on its own, but it's really complemented by allow and investigate and nourish. So, and then even you may find if you continue this practice that the the words themselves may reorient themselves. They don't spell rain anymore, but I think you'll find a lot of permission, if you will, to use this practice the way that it comes alive in your own life. So let's take a transition moment. And I'll transition as well. If you'd like, you can close your eyes if that's comfortable. No need to close your eyes if it's not comfortable. You can just drop your gaze. And what I'd like for us to do is spend a few moments just connecting with our breath again. And if for some reason the breath is difficult for you to connect with, you'll take your hands, the palms of your hands, and rest them on your thighs. You can use that sensation as a way to practice this morning instead of the breath. Just allowing yourself to feel the body breathing or sensation in your hands. And remembering once again that the body doesn't need any help breathing, that it actually really knows what to do. So it doesn't require any effort on our part. And that's why it's such a great home base or an anchor, if you will, in our practice is something to come back to, right? We're pulled out to so many things throughout the day and in our lives. Really cultivating a sense of having a home base is so helpful. Just taking a few more moments to allow you to connect with the natural breath. And in the spirit of our topic today, just take a moment to see what you recognize in the breath. What kind of quality is in the breath? Is it shallow? Is it slow? What do you recognize in the breath? What are you aware of? There's a very subtle pause often in the breath at the top and bottom of the breath, where as the breath leaves the body on the out breath, there's a short pause before the body takes breath in again. The more relaxed we are, often that pause can be a bit longer. Just seeing what you notice about your breath. How does your body breathe? And then as you're ready, you can drop that practice. And we'll do another transition moment. Just allowing all the visual sensations to come back. And I'll talk a little bit about recognize and just provide some information about that. So the idea around recognize is really what you are paying attention to. It's what you're aware of. And there's a lot of things to be aware of at any given moment. So there are things that are distracting us, and there are things that are, that we need to read, and there are things we need to listen to, and phone calls. And what ends up happening is we are so overstimulated by the demands of our life, right? That we were talking about yesterday. We sort of get up in the morning, we go through our life, and then at the end of the day, we go back to sleep again. And there's a lot to pay attention to throughout the day. But as we've habituated our lives, we start to lose the sense of how to recognize what's going on for us. I know I've certainly had days that have been really busy. Yesterday was one in particular. I spent this time with you yesterday morning, and then I was in back-to-back meetings all day. And if I don't have a practice in order to keep coming back to myself and checking in, recognize what's going on, I can really go through the whole day without doing that, and do that again today and over. But I lose a sense of my own experience, being in direct relationship with what's going on in my day, the relationships that I have, the time I'm spending with people, right? I can get through those things sort of checking off the box, but I'm not really aware of what's going on. I'm not attuned to myself and to the people that I'm spending time with and that need my time. So having the ability to pay attention to small things throughout the day, your breath, the sensation of your hands resting, the sensation of drinking water, making tea or coffee, right? And really tending these processes that we do can actually have a rejuvenating and relaxing quality, even during a really, really busy day. It's not like you're taking a lot of extra time to do these things, right? It's just that you're tending to them with a sense of recognizing what's going on. So we have opportunities all the time for all these small awarenesses and recognizing. And the recognizing comes from the thoughts we're having, what's going on in my thinking, what's going on in my body, the sensations in my body, and then also what's going on in my emotional world and in my emotions. So there's also really big recognizing, right? I think beyond the small things that we can pay attention to in our lives that help us cultivate a sense of resiliency in our life, we have things that happen in our life that we weren't expecting, that we weren't planning for, and that are really challenging to know how to be with and how to handle. And certainly we've had two here recently. One is certainly COVID and all of the health concerns and changes that we've had to our lifestyles recently. And certainly a racism crisis, which is a resurgence of problems we've had in our country around race and fairness and equity and systematic oppression. These things have awakened us again to things that have always been there, and that we can make some choices to not recognize or not pay attention to. But sometimes we can't actually not pay attention, or we have to actually make a choice that it's too much and I can't pay attention. So we also have things that happen in our life, our personal life, that are right. The common thing now is we get woke, right? Things that happen that weren't planned. And I had one of those things happen about 20 years ago, and it's really what put me on this path of waking up and learning to practice mindful awareness and have a meditation practice. And what happened was something that I wasn't expecting, and it certainly aligned in that moment with something I'd been experiencing but didn't have language for. I had, from external view, a great life. I did have a great life. I had a great job, a house I loved. I had great friends that I loved and felt loved by. I felt like my outer world looked really well put together. But the reality is, I didn't feel that way inside. I felt this sense of something missing and something misaligned. And I actually would describe it as I felt like I was sleepwalking through my life. And Tara describes that in her book as the trance, right? That we get tranced out. And I often refer to it as just a habituated life, right? That just sort of is moving on its own, but doesn't really carry a lot of meaning that we desire in our human experience. So from that, I actually found a meditation teacher in that time in my life. I lived in Richmond, Virginia at the time. And what I want to share is two things that I learned early in practicing mindful awareness that have really become the anchors for me in my practice. And I hope by sharing them that you'll find something that you connect with as well. So the first one is I discovered really early as a mindful awareness practitioner that I was spending a lot of time wishing things were different. Now, I didn't really know that I was doing that until, of course, my meditation teacher suggested that one of her observations were that I was wishing things were different, either in the presence of my life, what was going on in my life, or perhaps the things that had happened in the past, or even the way I was hoping for something different in the future. And I think it's really a fairly classic teaching, this wish for things to be different, and not recognizing that that's happening in your experience causes us to create a lot of our own suffering, if you will. So as you practice today with this word recognize, see if there's ways that you connect with this idea around wishing things were different, and see what you discover there. And then the other thing that I learned early that continues to be really a hallmark of my own practice is there's this idea that there's me, there's space, and everything else. So that was what my teacher shared with me. And let me tell you why that's so important around recognize. I'm a person that likes to stay really busy. My guess is I'm in good company on this live stream and anyone listening. I think culturally we have put all of us on this track of high achieving and accomplishing a lot, and that being a way we feel good about ourselves. But what happens when we become high achievers and in this constant busyness is the sense of overwhelm and burnout. And I wow, I know it for myself so well today and over many years. And I hear people that I'm close to talk about it and wonder about it a lot. So the idea around overwhelm is everything gets very solidified, right? It's all like one big ball. My life, my work, my family, my passions, my hobbies, they all get kind of balled up into something that feels so overwhelming. So it's been really helpful for me when I recognize that sense of overwhelm that I practice actually using my body to get anchored. Like, okay, I'm right here. I'm in my body. There's actual space around me, right? Physical space. And then there's all these other things. So that recognition has helped me a lot practice more when I feel overwhelmed and move myself into more of a sense of being able to choose what's happening rather than the sense of overwhelm being so solidified. So, as we're going to transition here again, a transition moment, which will just give you a moment to know that something different is going to happen. If you attended yesterday, transition moments are great moments to remember to practice, right? Sort of enliven your awareness. Um, so, let's just close our eyes if that's comfortable. And I'm going to guide us through a practice where biologically we know that we have more sensation in our hands and our feet. And this practice is really helping us come back to our bodies. And you can use your hands, your feet, or your seat, your bottom, sitting on the cushion of a chair. That's how you're seated. And place your hands on your thighs. So the palms of your hands on your thighs. And allow your feet to be on the floor, flat on the floor. And just take a moment to make sure that you're sitting in a posture that feels comfortable and relaxed. So we'll just work with the hands this morning. You can also use your feet and your seat. This is recognizing the sensations that you feel in your hands. So we're guiding our mind to draw its attention to our hands. And first, just feel the surface that they're resting on. No need to move your hands around to do that. All of the sensing capability of the palms of your hands can sense without even moving. So just allowing your mind to notice your hands resting on the surface of your thighs. And now allow the mind to recognize what that surface is. Is it your skin? Is it cloth? And then now recognize what the texture is. Is it smooth? Or is it rough? And then now recognize any temperature that you can notice in your hands. Are your hands warm? Are they cool? Any other qualities you can notice? Are they sweaty? Are they clammy? Are they dry? And now just allow yourself to notice how your awareness of your hands might be different now than it was when we first started. Has anything changed since you've collected your awareness and focus, placed your focus onto your hands? And as you're ready, you can begin to drop that practice. If your eyes are closed, you can open them. So, a very quick formal practice of sort of gathering your attention back to your body. You can use a home base in your body with your breath or your hands, your feet, your seat. Even the sensation of your whole body can be an anchor that you come back to as a home base. So as we go into the day to day and we take a practice in life, um, what I'd like for you to do is just see what you're recognizing today. This is a very open-ended, informal practice. See if you're able to come back to recognizing what's going on in your body. See if you can come back to recognizing what's going on in your thoughts. Are you having a lot of particular kinds of thoughts? And then also coming back to emotions, like checking in with yourself, recognizing what's going on with me emotionally. How am I actually feeling? Remember the question from yesterday. How are you today? Right? How are you emotionally? How are you in your thinking, in your mind? And then how are you in your body? And see where that takes you for today. And remember that recognizing is really an anchor in this process of becoming more mindfully aware. Is actually really just knowing what's going on, and you'll remember today, or you won't, and you'll forget, and you'll remember again. And that's another really important part of this practice, particularly from the insight and Vipassana meditation practice, is you will forget and your mind will wander, and then you'll remember. And in the moments of remembering is where we have the most mindful awareness uh, moments and the most ability to generate a capability in our life that holds mindful awareness as well. So, thank you, and I hope you have a great day, and I wish you well. Thanks.